This is a maiden voyage of a live stream for TylerBlawyer.com. We're just going to have to go ahead and slow the roll of that music, that awesome intro music. Now I'm depending on a few people here to let me know how that sounds. Not necessarily so concerned how it looks. I'm more concerned if the audio sounds okay. And letting a few people get on here. See what it... okay, we have feedback that it sounds good. Got a little bit of messed up hair from the headphones there. Now that the music is off, it sounds good. Good. Okay, great. Alright, well, welcome one and all to, again, the maiden voyage of a TylerBlawyer.com live stream. We're multi-streaming to Facebook and YouTube. And this is kind of a test, and as you can see, we had a rough start there. Or I don't know. I mean, I don't know how many people saw. But I couldn't get the sound working there. It's my first real, it's my first real time out with OBS live. I've done some testing with it. I've played around with it a lot, but it took me a minute to figure out that the audio had to be captured from the output on the slide panel, and that, was frustrating. But hopefully the blue snowball sounds okay. I'm going to do one more check on that. And I did get good feedback that it sounds good, so that's great. I'll be taking any questions if people type them into the live chat, and also, my computer's kind of freezing up here, so let me try to clear some space while we allow people to come in and start watching. Just give me a sec here. Again, there's going to be some technical difficulties today. I knew that getting started. What I'd like to do is just make sure I can get through the show and have a nice clean capture. I don't have a team here with me. It's just me and somebody watching that's helping me make sure that it's not totally frozen or the audio is not totally screwed up. So FYI, all the introductions I've been doing since like June, since I started doing videos again, are meant to be 100% cheesy. So if you're sitting there like, hating on the sideline at all the cheesy introductions and stuff, like, the joke's totally on you, because everything I've done in the introductions is meant to be completely cheese, and I'm trying to bring back some 80s synthwave, as you can see. And we'll continue the cheese and maybe even try to do some humor videos in the future. With my resting bitch face, I know I'm kind of, it's hard to take my humor, but you'll get used to it, I'll say. Now, again, I apologize if I'm going to have to fight through some technical difficulties beforehand, and we'll just work through that. Now, there's the Slack that I'm getting my feedback on. Recently, I did a post which I think people should go check out, and it's called The Voluntary Slaves, Voluntarism, the Doctrine of Master Servant. And you can go get that from the front page of the website. It's a little bit more presentation style, pre-recorded, versus the live show that we're doing here. And really kind of hits on some of the more solid arguments against voluntarism, minarchism, libertarianism, and still looking to see if anybody wants to have a debate on that. I've not heard any really good arguments against the points that I've made, so again, it's not something that I just came up with. Anybody who honestly looks at the whole voluntarist movement, voluntary society thing, can quickly find that it's not exactly what I think that they think it is. Okay, and we won't go into all that here, but I do think people should go check that out. Another thing I just wanted to bring up, and this is, recently what I've found is ton. Okay, I made a mistake there actually. So we lost sound there for a sec because of a mistake that I made. It should be there now. Um, Sorry about that. I went back to a slide that didn't have the mic in it. That was my fault. So it should be back now. But what I was saying was, I will never use advertisements in my work, and uh, that's not what I'm here to do. Is to make money with ads and make money off super chats and things like that. So I just noticed recently how bad some of the YouTube videos are getting with ads, and I just wanted to bring that up. That in my website, in my work, I'll never monetize with YouTube video advertising or have to worry about getting demonetized because of those types of things, because that's not what I'm here to do. My attempt with TylerBloyer.com will be to provide content which is free and provided for free. So I may even have other projects in the future in which there's some sort of product, of course, like a book or a course, but I still will be providing even like a book for free, and then would not expect, but at that point the model would be, if you find value in the work, then there could be some kind of donation provided, or a gift that I offer with the work, and then you're able to make a donation in exchange for that gift. All right, so again, I will not be using these ridiculous ads in the work. Just to touch on that again, that I'm saying that here because you can go back and look at my work before, and any like podcasts I've been doing for the last 5 years. I've never like put bookends of ads and monetized everything and gone for. And if you look at my view counts, it wouldn't have been worth it anyway. Okay, so a couple things I want to touch on today, and then we have some slides that I'm going to go into. But I just want to provide actually some treats for the people out there. I'm going to give some value of some things, technologically speaking, that I've been doing and working on recently that I think people will find really helpful. Some things that I've been using, And so one of those things is the Brave browser, of course. Lots of people talking about this. I'm surprised at how popular it became. This is the Brave browser I'm using here, and the Brave browser will actually pay you when it shows you ads, and the ads are just like little Windows notifications. If we get one here during the live show, I'll show you what I mean. I do have them turned on. I'm having some issue right now with the wallet, but I have seen this work, and I've actually been able to earn basic attention token from the Brave browser. And so it blocks all ads. What you'll see is, like it says here, that it's saved me 44 minutes in time from reducing the amount of time web pages take to load from ads. And I use this on my phone and on my work computer as well. And who knows how accurate that is, but you can see like 52,000 ads and trackers blocked. It's upgrades to HTTPS instead of using HTTP. Really cool. Basically, just like Chrome, you can use all the Chrome extensions and plugins and import bookmarks. It's on the Chromium backend, so it's basically the same thing as Chrome. Brave browser. Check that out. I'm going to leave the link in the show notes. Like I said, I've not had any issues with it. It's been running great. Everything it does seems to be perfect. Beyond that, there's an even more, and oh, by the way, this is like really privacy oriented. So, why use a browser that treats you like one? Enjoy private, secure, and fast browsing with Brave. Another thing is you can open the Tor network right from Brave. It's big on DuckDuckGo, which is a more privacy oriented thing. So, why go and just keep leaking all your data to Google and YouTube and these people that want to track your every move like Orwellian style, so one day that everything you do online is completely tracked for whatever reason, whether it's just to sell things or for more nefarious reasons. I'm not so naive to think that I can do things that will stop people from getting data they want on me, but I don't make it easy for just anyone, even bad guys, to necessarily come along and just see everything that I do. Or there might be certain things that I want to keep private, and I use the Onion browser for that, with Tor and a VPN that I'll touch on later. Next, the Epic browser is what I wanted to touch on next. I've only heard about this, I've not used it, but it looks pretty good. It looks like there's VPNs built in, and also very big on privacy. I'm not going to spend a ton of time on it, but I will leave this in the show notes as well, because I think for people that don't even have, they're still using Chrome or even Firefox, or worse, like IE, then they should check, at least get Brave installed, and then look into other things, like have the Onion if you need it. And if you have any questions on this stuff, just reach out to me, Tyler@tylerbloyer.com. You can email me, you can come in on the website and make comments as well. The next thing, in alignment with all these other ideas, excuse me, I'm having something in my throat here. Proton VPN, to protect yourself when doing torrenting or just overall general browsing, or you just get in the habit of using a VPN. This is a really user-friendly one to use, and I suggest putting it on your desktop. And if you have a phone that can handle it, try it on the phone. It's cheap for the monthly plan, which includes more than one device, and Linux, I haven't got it working on my CentOS laptop yet, but I've got it working on Windows and my Android, and I don't exactly know what it's tunneling on the Android. But with all these applications that are leaking data and location information and other things off your phone, or hacking into it and things, it's better to be more privacy oriented than not. And I've been running this on my phone and I haven't had any issues. But definitely on the PC, it's more user friendly and has more options, it seems like, and really is pretty cool. Let me just give you a quick look at it. So I can come in here and I can choose, to quick connect to one of these places, but you can go, and I have, again, the most basic paid account, but I can go on here and let's see if we can go full screen on this desktop. Okay. I can connect through Tor to a primary or preferred premium server. So okay, it says it reconnected successfully to YouTube. We're gonna give it a sec here. It says it reconnected successfully to Facebook. Let's double check. I'm sorry about that, guys. That was so dumb. There you go, she says. Alright. I connected the VPN. I didn't really connect, but it was enough to disconnect the session. So a good test of the functionality there, because it looks like we're back. So so let's come back over here. Oh man, that was dumb. Okay, so those things will be in the show notes. Check that out. Alright, so the voice aloud reader. This is what I'm really excited about, because this has been really cool. So I'm going to go back over here and get into full screen. And this app, if you're Android, I think they have iOS, Voice Aloud Reader. What this does is you can load articles and PDFs and other like EPUB documents and other things probably that I haven't tried yet, and it will read it to you with a robot voice. So that's probably the biggest downside to this that I've noticed. But so I have this on my phone, right? And I can get an article, and that way when I'm working out or walking or doing dishes or doing the laundry or whatever, right, walking around the house cleaning things up, I can be listening to articles that throughout the day came across my desk, that I wasn't able to stop and read right at that minute. And what I was doing was just sending articles to myself in PDFs and then like syncing it up, and it was a little bit of footwork. But what I can do is not only just use that, but then I can sync it with this Pocket app. Okay, so this Pocket app, and again, this is in the Brave browser to work in Chrome. I'm pretty sure you can get it in Firefox. This syncs to the Voice Aloud automatically once you sign in through the Voice Aloud player reader on the phone, and then all the articles that you've synced. And so here's all the articles that I've synced to my Pocket app, sync to the Voice Aloud, and then I just go through and it goes through and reads them chronologically for me. And I have all kinds of books in there too that you don't see in the Pocket, because I do have to manually load the PDFs in to the Voice Aloud reader. But I'm going to leave links to these in the show notes to both of these. And what it does is and I'm going to do probably like a whole show on this at some time in the future, but what this does is it enables you to create a workflow where you don't have to stop and read every article, PDF, book that comes in your way and pops in your head at that time. Because I know, one of the biggest problems with kind of this information age is that the information overload can be overwhelming, and there's just like so much stuff coming your way, and a lot of it you do want to get to, even if you're trying to be discerning and not just be like, a chipmunk, like losing your attention to everything coming at you. But even if you're, being very discerning and filtering out and going after only information that you want for this particular research project or for your upcoming video or whatever you're trying to work on, there can still be just an absolutely overwhelming amount of information to deal with, and regardless of like whatever topic it is. So I like tools that help to take that and automate it in a way and allow me to clear space and close all the browser tabs and just, relax when I want to relax, and then consume the information once I'm ready, no matter where I'm at. I don't have to sit. And so, I'm a big, huge audio intaker. I can listen to hours and hours and hours of audio and actually pick up on quite a bit of it. I think that you should use other tools. You need to do all different angles of reading and watching videos and actually doing and then listening, and maybe go back and reread and re-listen and take notes and pore over things. So again, I think I'll probably do a whole show on kind of like organizing information and how to intake that information properly, and how to use the Trivium method against it, how to use the Brain software, which is I think what's coming up next in my notes here. So let's talk about the Brain really quick. Now, again, I put this in my last post. Now, my last kind of walk and talk here, Words Without Actions, A Cult of Death, and you can see how I tied in kind of like the people who just say things and don't do things to actually like depopulation, anti-human things. But in this post I said, the brain is not meant to be a complete model of anything. It is an ongoing work in which I store my thoughts and notes. Nothing in the brain should be taken as truth or my attempt to reveal truth. It is simply a note-taking space. So don't think that because I come over here and start to present something in my brain model that I'm trying to present like 100% complete model of something, or that I'm claiming that because I have the Trivium method that somehow I have the ultimate truth on things. I think that's a mistake you'll see others in the field who use this software make, and other people who present the Trivium model method as a method of discerning truth from fiction and, taking out contradictions, will present these tools as like, the ultimate models of truth seeking. And that's not at all what this is. This is an advanced bookmarks. It's like an advanced web of bookmarks that I've made that are for my personal use and will be used sometimes in the future in this show for presentations. And I'm going to probably use this disclaimer like every time I have to use it, because there's a mistake out there of people thinking that because I have something linked here in the brain that I also think that like I have it 100% correct, and that I'm trying to present this like complete model of a story of history or something like that. And that's not at all what it is for me. It's just a note-taking software. And so, about a decade ago when I started researching the Federal Reserve, at that time there were other researchers using the brain, mainly Richard Grove from TragedyandHope.com and Jan Irvin from what was Gnostic Media and now LogosMedia.com. Were using the brain, and I started to build my own brain because I thought it was pretty cool. And I've built other brains, but this one is my most comprehensive. And it's just at tylerbloyer.com/brain. I kind of took it out of the links again because I feel like people think that I'm trying to present like, come look at this thing that I've created, and it's like not that at all. It's neat, and it's a really cool way for me to recall things later down the road. Like, so I haven't been focusing on the Federal Reserve System like heavily, but I can come in, recently. I mean, I was in the past, and so now I can come back and refresh myself on some things. And I've been getting a lot better at actually putting like papers and documents and books, like full PDF books in here, and that's really cool. So I can share it with people. I can share books with people. I can show them why I put it in there a certain way. I've used this many times as a talking discussion point, just to bring up to people while I'm talking to them, so they can see. It's kind of an appeal to, it's a fallacy in a way to appeal to the brain, like I said, as like some sort of complete model of here's the story. But it's not fallacious to say, hey, look, I'm not just talking. I have a lot of source material here on the Council on Foreign Relations that I've looked into over the years. And as you can see, it's not just something that I've lightly covered and read a couple articles on. I've spent, numerous tens of hundreds of hours plugging these items in here and making the links that are relevant to the research that I was doing at that time. So again, it's just another tool for research and note-taking and recall, and to be able to document something in a different kind of a way that's lasting and that I can share with the public and use in a form of media like I'm doing now, right? So I just wanted to clear that up and get that out of the way before we jump into the slide deck here today. And so let me just check up on a few housekeeping things. Kind of probably still good over here. One thing I'm noticing is that this thing is just killer on RAM. Like if I even try to open up Facebook, it pretty much like kills it. But I want to see if there's anybody watching or any questions. Alright, looks like we are still streaming, so that's good. Lost you for 1 second, but it's fine. Alright. Looks like we don't have a huge audience anyway, so this is good for a test. Alright. Now, if anybody does want to come in on the Facebook chat or the YouTube chat, that would be nice, because I'd like to see how this software works. It has like this Restream.io software has a chat feature that comes along with it. So I'm just going to type in there, hello. And if anybody has a sec, reply back to that and let me know if you see that. Cool. Well, I think overall, I mean, even with the few hiccups that I've had, I can work through that, and we can get this going. Maybe eventually I'll have a Discord server, and we can take live calls and things like that. But for now, I just wanted the ability to set up a live streaming server, to set up, I mean, the live streaming software client, and then plug it into a couple accounts, Facebook, YouTube, and see how that goes. Eventually, we'll try to do some DLive or other things like that. Something that's more decentralized. And thank you, honey, for letting me know it's coming up. That's my sexy wife letting me know that she's very sexy. Lucky man. I'm just kidding. I'm not kidding about that. I'm playing around, trying to make her blush a little bit. Thank you, sweetie, for letting me know that it's coming up. You're awesome, and awesome for helping me out with the stream here. She's my executive producer in the background, right? My support network. All right, so let's jump into the slides here then. All right, so here we are in the slideshow interface, and I wanted to start with a slide here that's just my words, and this is from the upcoming part 1 of Falling into the Movement Traps, the Struggle for Freedom. And what I said was, the path to effectively addressing the causal factors which create our reality is almost completely lost. If we are honest with ourselves about the current human conditions, we can summarize that the struggle for freedom is failing. The cybernetic technocracy of Luciferian death cult elite, or whatever you prefer to call it, are having their way with humanity. So I don't care what Masonic, federal, cartel, banking, elite thing that you want to call it. They're having their way with humanity. And again, the path to effectively addressing these conditions that have been created seems to be completely lost. I mean, on most people. And, as I've been touching on, and as that presentation, falling into the movement traps will go into, is that it's completely lost to all your modern freedom movements as well. And we're not just talking about the completely brainwashed slaves here. We're talking about the secondary matrix revolutionaries and the anarchists and the people in the movements, the cult of action, So, again, you have to be honest with yourself about the current human condition, and, not just your close knit group of people that you hang out with in person or online and what they think, and not, just necessarily what you think, but to be honest with yourself about looking around at the conditions of humanity and the self-loathing and the amount of slavery and voluntary slaves that we have, and the brokenness that has to be going on inside people's heads for that to occur. And it's not a top-down thing. It's not the cybernetic technocracy, is a manifestation of what we've allowed to happen to us and what we're creating. And that's part of what this show will hope to go further into, is the causal factors and the natural law, conditions that have been created due to our ignorance and apathy towards the way that natural law actually works. And, the conditions that we create, no matter how evil and horrible it gets, are what people are asking for. It's the way that things work when you allow governments and corporations and all outright evil to manifest around you and do nothing about it. So, Jiddu Krishnamurti says, nature is busy creating absolute unique individuals, whereas culture has invented a single mold to which all must conform. It is grotesque. So, coming in as individuals and being molded into the collective, into the NPCs, into the Borg, you will be assimilated into this culture, and you will lose your individuality and any kind of spark of divinity will be squashed out. And while nature seems to have it correct, we seem to be the ones that have it wrong. Infinity has many faces, but culture that we're living in is a grotesque, mask that gets placed on everybody, the false persona. Legal fictions and fancy titles and flattering titles and the appeal to authority and just overall, deadness of people and complete lack of the imperial self, the individual. And just because I share something that Jiddu Krishnamurti says doesn't mean that I'm like a cult follower of his either, or anybody else's work that I follow, or share. And I'm not always going to make that disclaimer either every time to say, well, this person, was a commu-Nazi, but let me make sure that I clarify. I mean, sometimes if it fits into the narrative of what I'm trying to present, then I'll use their work. And they don't have to be like a saint or something because I'm sharing a quote of theirs, right? I don't have to fully agree with everything they've ever said either. Like this, I mean, Nicolas Gomez Davila, I don't know a ton about this person, but is this not true? That when nothing in society deserves respect, we should fashion ourselves in solitude. Let me read that again. When nothing in society deserves respect, we should fashion for ourselves in solitude new silent loyalties. So that shadow work, and going within and, withdrawing from a sick society and realizing any kind of, poison that you've taken in and sickness that you have yourself and healing from that, and then coming up with new loyalties, right, to fight anew and not just give up and say screw society and I'm out and I'm not going to come back and check out and tune out and do all kinds of acid or whatever else, or just go completely nihilistic and atheistic and just nothing actually matters and it's all just a reflection of my head or something like that, some kind of like solipsistic mindset and worldview, right? No, we're talking about doing work in solitude, to be a phoenix, to re-rise from the ashes, to fight the battle that needs to be fought here and now on this planet, in this realm, not in some afterlife and not, in some other place. It's here and now, feet on the ground spirituality. And, we don't need to completely align ourselves with all evil that's going on. We can withdraw quite a bit and get into new ways of being and new ways of living in the world that don't keep continuing to build this prison cage that humanity is living in. Martin Heidegger says it another way and says, anyone can achieve their fullest potential. Who we are might be predetermined, but the path we follow is always of our choosing. We should never allow our fears or the expectations of others to set the frontiers of our destiny. Your destiny can't be changed, but it can be challenged. Every man is born many men and dies as one single one. And that's really, insightful and deep, and probably has flown over my head and probably will fly over most of the people's heads who hear that or read it. And you should take a sec and reread that and know that, he's not talking about who we are is predetermined as in you don't have free will. Go and read and get familiar with Martin Heidegger. He's talking about, as we came into this world, that might be something that can't be changed. But what can change is moving forward and how we react and what we do moving forward. And that others will definitely attempt to mold and shape and put you on their path or have you come work on for their cause. But ultimately, in the end, it was all your responsibility. And the individual that leaves this world was of their own choosing. That's the individual that was chosen, by that individual and the things that they did in their life to create the world and the life that they lived. I keep forgetting to switch to the full slide view, so I'll just give people a sec to take a look at that. End slavery is my Facebook page. Going back quite a while. Again, it used to be called End the Federal Reserve, End Slavery, and I think maybe like 5 years ago I renamed it to just End Slavery after realizing that it's a lot bigger than just banking and debt and things like that. And again, this is sort of my calling card as of late, is that the path to freedom is the path of the individual, not any group or collective. And it can never be. I think that could be like a nice little addition, and could never be of any group or collective, Because ultimately, there is no ism, there is no group, there is no well-beaten path for someone to go down to reach freedom. Once you've kind of torn away and destroyed everything that's false, what's left for you is for you and your own unique experience. And again, nature creates individuals with infinite expression and infinite potential. So the solutions to the problems out there are with us. And that's another contention that I will make here, is that we are not lacking the answers to the problems in the world. We are lacking the ability to implement those solutions. We are lacking the inspiration, really, and the drive, the motivation. And really, at this point, what's it going to take, for people to get with it? That's kind of an open-ended question, At what point do we reach to where more people start, quote-unquote, waking up? And taking this individual path, an individual journey, and not, stuck in these group mindsets and Borg-like, completely numbed out collectives, with no real individualism, with no real connection to the self. And, the question is for you. How much are you willing to put up with before we actually start to pick up some of the people throughout history who have written down great works of solutions that could be implemented, Perhaps we'll do a show kind of, covering on this stuff and going into actual solutions. But the real issue is the individual ready to receive that solution, and are they ready to implement it? And can we even deal with some of the works of a Martin Heidegger or a Wilhelm Reich or a Nikola Tesla? Can we even comprehend the thoughts and the ideas and morality that these individuals were trying to express? And, the sad answer at this time with the state of humanity is no, we can't. And so from Tesla himself, he says, be alone. That is the secret of invention. Be alone. That is when ideas are born. Coming from a true master himself. Telling you that it's not out there, that it's in here, that you already have it, and that it needs to be given a lot of respect and time to manifest, that inner voice. And Viktor Frankl, who, was a survivor of Nazi Germany and a critic of psychology in humans after that, says, everything can be taken from a man but one thing, the last of human freedoms. Okay, I thought I had a full screen there. To choose one's attitude in any given set of circumstances, to choose one's own way. So that may not be the case for very much longer, but currently this is still the case, and we still do have a choice on how we're going to react and how we will respond to these conditions, and what I contend is the conditions of human slavery, mentally, physically. We are at physical war, but ultimately, and when I say that, that's not an extremist point of view. There are literally people out there medicating you forcefully through the water supply, trying to get you to be more controllable. And through the foods and through the air and through the vaccinations and through the medical system and the education system, we are in a physical battle for freedom and for nature and for our lives. And that may not always be the case where you have a much of a choice, and we are at kind of that precipice, and where we have to make a decision, which way we want to go moving forward. And truth does matter, and the conditions that we create here in this world do matter, and what we do in this life does matter. Give me 1 sec. I love you, sweetie. Can you go? I love you. Daddy has to finish this, okay? Okay. Sorry, my daughter came in. That's fine. I mean, she could be here with me. I just don't want to have her cause a problem or something. She's a little cutie. But again, what we do here does matter, and the goal of all of us. And when I write down my goals and I'm dreamlining and setting my path, at the bottom in my large goal section is always to end slavery, and in my own head, and in our own lives, and in my family's condition, and through our belief systems and the false belief systems that need to be weeded out. The truth does matter, and it's a very destructive force, but as you can see here, it brings the sword of justice in this picture, and it will bring justice to this world if we invoke and live our lives according to the truth and seek truth. So that was a little rocky. I really appreciate everybody sticking with me through this maiden voyage live stream of TylerBloyer.com. I think I got a few kinks worked out, so I appreciate, again, anyone's attention who's made it with me to this point in the show, and I look forward to spending more time with you in the future, doing these live streams. I think I'll probably do a live stream a month, and then continue to be producing the regular content that I have been. TylerBloyer.com/subscribe. Drop in your email. That's really the best way to follow what I do, being that any one of these platforms I could leave or go away from at any time, but the email and TylerBloyer.com is probably going to be a very long-lasting place to follow the updates coming through here, and looking out for the upcoming presentation on falling into the movement traps, which I think is going to be a really good initial kind of big piece of work that I'll be putting out and putting into some kind of USB or DVD format in the future to be able to distribute out freely, of course. And again, you can check me out on Minds, Steemit, BitChute, YouTube, if you want to get a hold of me on any of those other platforms. I really appreciate people sticking around, and I'll just go over a couple of the last notes that I had, which were, while we're still got the live stream going here, and still got a little bit of time. Got plenty of time today to still go do some fun things with the family, and really that's kind of what I wanted to touch on now that the slideshow is over and the main show is out of the way. What we see out there a lot in the activist community, and what I want to help people with the falling into the movement traps presentation is going to be to install a sort of antivirus against these online activists and these online leaders, people who I've met personally, even, who under the covers it's not the same story as you see online, and they're not creating a positive condition for themselves and their life and their family and their relationships. And oftentimes under the covers with these online activists, you'll find that they're not creating a family, and not that everyone on the planet has to be creating a family, but those that can. If you go back to my last video on me being a populationist and pro-population, and actually think that the world is not overpopulated. I don't think that we have a huge problem in the Amazon with the rainforest burning down. This is all propaganda. Again, the greening of agenda and all that goes back to eugenics. The people that started the United Nations were eugenicists, banking cartels, people that were seeking control over humanity and over individuals. So the whole global warming thing is just a big, huge fraud. And I'm not like, we're hopefully woke, if you're woke enough, you already got this. But I've seen a lot of posts about the Amazon stuff without a lot of critical thinking going on. And if you understood how vast and massive and just behemoth that the Amazon rainforest actually is, I don't think you'd be so quick to buy into some of the propaganda that's going on. And it's not that I want the Amazon rainforest to burn, but they immediately tie it into eating meat. And this is more of the propaganda. This is more of the eugenics propaganda. The veganism thing, I understand that people do it for different reasons, but there's a movement out there that's a eugenics movement and a depopulation agenda to turn males into soy boy, weak, controllable little mama's boys, basically, who, live in their mom's basement and eat Soylent Green all day, and bought into the agenda that they should just get, their boys snipped before they even ever have a chance to start a family. Or maybe they think they're a transgender, which, the transgender movement, again, is all tying back into depopulation, into eugenics, into one world government, right? So what I think the best thing to do is to build a positive relationship and a family, and create the conditions of a happy family and a prosperous family, and children who are very confident to approach the world and who can go out and face the big challenges that they're going to be faced with. That to me is activism, right? And it's one of the most effective forms of activism. And it's not as glamorous, and it doesn't have all the virtues of traveling around the country on the back of a Bitcoin donation that was made to you through your crowdfunding campaign, and you can go and do all this activity to make you feel like you're getting all these things done, but not having any roots or any family or any place that you've created to have a positive relationship with another person that could last into having children. We have, like I've alluded to before, a sort of post-traumatic stress disorder, it seems, with a lot of these people that get in front and want to be an online guru or an online leader. A lot of the time it seems like their family life is in shambles. They're coming off of drugs, or maybe even still on drugs. Ex-Marines or ex-military of some sort, and have this kind of like still buzzing thing where they're still like shaking from the trauma, and they're going out and wanting you to shake up your life and get involved and get active and get out there and just like screw your house and screw your job and screw your chance of a family, and just go and you can get funded by super chats on YouTube, and you don't need any real career now because look how easy it is to be a Steemit blogger. And what I'm saying is that like a lot of that mindset is not going to go towards changing anything. They're not addressing the causal factors of the prison, and they're actually going to end up making it worse. If you look at like the 60s and 70s hippies movement, as much of that as we found is actually, manufactured and created by MK Ultra and the CIA, we still had a lot of people that bought into all that thought that it was real freedom. Real freedom is sleeping with anybody, wherever, and just having abortions or just having random children, and aborting your children is real freedom, right? Killing children is freedom, right? How Orwellian is that? But that's still going on quite heavily. Depopulation is very active in America, and it's not like we haven't been involved from the beginning. Margaret Sanger, the founder of Planned Parenthood, was the Eugenics Society originally, and the Eugenics Society, people like William H. Gates, let's pull up. So William H. Gates was Bill Gates' grandfather. I may have a lot of people say father when they're talking about him. Now, I think it was his grandfather, but he was a massive eugenicist, and so is Bill Gates. And Bill Gates, himself has openly come out for depopulation. He advocates using things like vaccinations and education and other things like that to depopulate the planet. And it's a family thing. Like he has inherited this mindset from people in his family, being that of his father, William H. Gates, who was, again, a part of what used to be called the Eugenics Society, which was now Planned Parenthood in America. And I don't think I've spent a ton of time getting into I think I did plug William H. Gates. No, see, I haven't even plugged him in the brain here yet, but, we have... Let's see if this will come up. Let's see if we can play this. Let's do this live. Okay, we're going to put the desktop audio in, and we'll add the output capture. Okay, this should capture it, but... And people that are familiar with this...
The energy on average for each service, and the CO2 being put out per unit of energy. So let's look at each one of these and see how we can get this down to zero. Probably one of these numbers is going to have to get pretty near to zero.
Down to zero.
That's back from high school algebra, but let's take a look. First, we've got population. The world today has 6.8 billion people. That's headed up to about 9 billion. Now, if we do a really great job on new vaccines, healthcare, reproductive health services, we could lower that by...
So catch what he said there.
Reproductive health services, we could lower that by perhaps 10 or 15%. But there we see an increase of about 1.3. The second factor is the services we use. This encompasses everything.
What he said there was he wants to use vaccinations to lower the population. And it's not like he said this out of context or something. There's plenty of other places where you can go and find Bill Gates. And let's see if I plugged in... Here, I'm going to open this again because... There's other examples too. I don't have them right here, and I'm not going to take the time to sit and look them up. But there's like 2 or 3 other examples of him in public getting interviewed, actually, and saying that he wants to use vaccines to lower the population. So, if you don't understand eugenics, and you don't understand social Darwinism, I'll type and talk at the same time. Of course, like the first page even of that is like complete garbage. All right, let's check this out really quick.
A couple questions that we've actually received since we started the webcast. The first is on population growth, and the question is, one of our most pressing issues is population growth. How do you expect this to be addressed?
Well, the population growth issue at the global level is not that daunting. That is, the population percentage-wise is growing slower today than in the past, and so it will actually peak out. The problem is that the population is growing the fastest where people are less able to deal with it. So it's in the very poorest places that you're going to have a tripling in population by 2050. And so their ability to feed,
they're
educate,
always going to make
provide
these
jobs,
grandiose,
stability, protect the
estimations.
environment in those locations mean they're faced with an almost impossible problem. Northern Nigeria, Yemen, Chad.
They're usually wrong. Like the Earth was supposed to be
$10 billion
completely
over
frozen
the next
over
10
by
years,
now,
to make it the
or
year of the
both
vaccines.
frozen
What
over
does
and
that
the
mean
sea
exactly?
levels risen.
Well, over this decade, we believe unbelievable progress can be made, both inventing new vaccines and making sure they get out to all the children who need them. We could cut the number of children who die every year from about 9 million to half of that if we have success on it. And the benefits there in terms
Because
of
they want to
reducing
lower the
sickness,
population.
reducing the population growth, it really allows
See?
the benefits there in terms of reducing sickness, reducing the population growth. It really
So the benefits of the vaccinations are reducing the population growth. So how do you think that works exactly? Just an open question for those listeners out there. So, all you feminists out there, to pick on you a little bit, is this only happening to women? Do you think Bill Gates has vaccines created that only depopulate women? Or do you think that it's something that is not something you can polarize into a feminist agenda movement, and it's actually, a war on all of us? And earlier I was saying we were at physical war. Well, here's another example of that. Again, go back to episode 3. I'm just going to share this last thing before we end the show here. I think it's been a good, successful live stream. I'm happy with how everything's worked out so far. So I'm just kind of capitalizing on it at the end, with the few of the notes that I had in here, which is really what I see as the most effective ways of moving forward if you want to really, fight for freedom, quote unquote, or chase the truth and things like that, is creating a positive environment for yourself where you can be the most prosperous and seek truth to the fullest that you can, and being a positive role model for other people in your life. And I mean, how like Jordan Peterson, clean your room sounding is that? But the answers sometimes that we're seeking are very simple, and it oftentimes has to do 99.9% with right here at home and doing the work within, and doing the work that you can do to yourself, and then outwardly you'll become a positive role model to others through that. Part of that, what I'm doing here, is that to younger generations that might see this, or my own children that might come along and see me attempting to better myself and attempting to, pass along wisdom to others, to raise up consciousness and to help, humanity not make that choice of complete slavery and destruction. Because it's not just slavery. Like, we're talking about the ending of humanity if we choose one direction versus, continuing on and prospering and thriving in harmony with nature in another direction. And again, that's a choice that we have to make. And here, I think one of the best solutions to that as well is presenting yourself and publishing yourself by yourself, and not letting others represent you, and not participating in democracy, which is really just another word for slavery. Fabian socialism is just slavery, and communism and socialism and democratic socialism are all euphemisms for slavery. And external forms of government are slavery. Internal government, which should be respected, and the laws of nature, and living under the laws of nature and the laws of God, and respecting and discovering what that means, what the words that I just said actually mean, and not, an atheist is refuting that which is. They're not just refuting God and the Christian version of what God is, which is their first mistake, is that they're taking an allegory and something that has been allegorized, and mysticism and ancient wisdom teachings that have been condensed and summarized and transmuted and put into the fictional stories of the Bible, and allegorical stories, which are based on like ancient Egyptian mystery traditions, and also numerology and the Kabbalah and the tarot and all these other things. and many other ancient religions, the Jesus Christ character is really representing natural law and is the story of how natural law operates in our lives and in the world. And so to be atheistic against something that was meant to be an allegory, that's ridiculous in itself. And ultimately it's refuting that which is, or existence itself, which is God, which is nature. And so to be atheistic against that, is childish at best, because it's someone who hasn't really fully thought out. They're still stuck in the false, fake Christian idea of what it is to be a Christian, and refuting that, which is like refuting Santa Claus once you find out Santa Claus is fake, like spending time actually making an ism, in this case atheism, that explains to everybody how unreal Santa Claus is, when Santa Claus was never meant to be real in the first place. And neither is like the other like figure of a god like sitting up there with a white beard like throwing thunderbolts down on the world is another misnomer and misconception and mistake, which has been so exacerbated and blown out of proportion by people and humans on this planet for the last couple thousand years, that I can't believe that it's ever gotten this far out of control. But I think that's it for today. I don't see any questions. I see we had a couple people jump in and watch the live stream, so that's pretty cool. We'll share this out if it didn't come across right. I think I have a local copy. Again, thanks everyone for watching, and have a great Sunday. We'll look forward to talking to you again.